Hello, everybody. A very warm welcome to all of you. A good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are attending this webinar from. So let me just quickly call out some names that I can see. Atul, Samagra, Vivek, that's Yaz, I hope. Ansh, Urishita, Kshitij, Somnath, Aman, Arush, Archit. These are some of the names that I can see on my board out here. But guys, those of you whose names are not available to me, a very, very warm welcome to all of you. So today we're going to discuss two very important topics which are tested on the GMAT SC, and that is parallelism and comparison. In fact, when we talk about, comparison, automatically the concept of parallelism comes into play, because when we are comparing two things, the two entities that we're comparing have to be parallel in all senses. So today I'm going to discuss different aspects of parallelism and comparison by taking up different kinds of questions which test parallelism and comparison. So hi Vineet, Urishita and Somnath. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Urishita. Is it Arishita, Urishita? So wonderful to have you all on board. Let me start off quickly by, I guess okay, my name is Sunita. This is just to tell you that who it is you're listening to. And I've been with GMATWhiz right from its inception, and the course architect. The entire course of the verbal section, as far as the verbal is concerned, has been kind of made by me. All right, guys. So enough about that. I love teaching. That's the best introduction I can give to you about myself. So we're going to start off right away with this question. A lot of you might be familiar with this question. You might not if you're a fresher or if you're just starting your prep this time. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Okay, thank you, Rishta. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes. I'll put myself on mute and I'll quickly bring up the polls for this question. All right, guys, so get started. All right, guys, I'm going to count 5 and then I am going to end the poll. So if you haven't put in your answers already, you can put in your answers. So here I go. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, let me quickly look at the poll results, and you too can do the same. You can see that the question is a difficult one based on the kind of results that we have here. 20% of you believe A is the correct answer, and then there is a small 5% which believes in B, then another small 5% C, a major 40% believes in D, and then there's a very close contender E. So if I look at A, D, and E, they're close contenders. And for any question where you have this kind of close contention, this kind of not a clear majority as such, it's a difficult question. Now, this question tests one of the most common misconceptions about parallelism, and that is ing should be parallel to ing or ed should be parallel to ed. Okay, this is a common misconception. So what one starts doing in this question is immediately looking at, okay, do I have providing and milking together? Then it's correct. It may or may not be correct, but that's not the right way to go about solving this question. All right. So Karthik has given a pointer right from the head start saying that since we have Holstein cows, he was able to eliminate B and D right away because the them pointed to cows and B and D do not have cows. So if you look at the polls, very few people marked B, but guys, a lot of you marked D as the answer. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. What I'm going to show you guys right now is the process that we at GMATVERBAL teach you so that you can, solve the most difficult of questions with maximum accuracy and in a certain limited amount of time. So I'm going to start with that method right away. We call that the meaning-based approach, intended meaning-based approach. The original sentence is supposed to convey an intended meaning. Let's see what that is. For the farmer who takes care. Now, when I look at this segment, I'm looking at 3 things, guys. Okay, just keep these 3 things in your mind. I'm looking at the structure of this segment. I'm looking at the role played by the different, words and segments here. And I'm simultaneously looking at the meaning of this segment. Let me explain a little bit better. So, for the farmer, here is a prepositional phrase. And then who takes care is a relative pronoun clause, right? Clearly, the relative pronoun clause is modifying the farmer. But this whole thing, it is supposed to tell me what is required for such a farmer. The language that I read right now is kind of indicating that this is pointing at a requirement, all right, for the farmer. What type of farmer? Who takes care, all right? So role, structure, meaning, this is what I keep doing when I'm breaking up the segments. All right. Okay, let me move ahead. To keep them. All right. So who takes care to keep them? Now, I don't have any antecedent or a reference for them right now, but I do know that it can come up later. Sometimes invariably your eyes will travel down the sentence and you might notice that, okay, the them is referring to the cows. All right. However, so right now what I have made, what I have kind of taken into account is, okay, so I need to look out for an antecedent for them. So this farm, for the farmer who takes care to keep them, mind it, I have also noticed that I've got a simple present tense here. So I'm talking about a typical fact. So for the farmer who takes care to keep them, keep who? Cool. All right, so here we're talking about the farmer who tries to keep something cool, providing them with high energy feed. Now there is a problem here straight away. Because of this comma, I know that cool and this part is supposed to play the same role. All right, to keep them cool, all right, and providing them should be playing the same role because we're talking about who takes care to do something to somebody. All right, so cool is a noun modifier, or what you call an adjective. Providing them, now there's a problem. To keep them cool, fine. To keep them, providing them. I mean, if I remove the cool from in between, which is just a modifier, so I'm basically now saying for the farmer who takes care to keep them, providing them, twice them. Okay, twice them, which is itself wrong. So providing them with high energy feed. Now the them, this them is not underlined. So this stays, which means this them has to go in whatever option I choose. To keep them cool, all right? And the them is common, so keep them something. Right now, what I'm thinking also, some of you might have thought that this is a comma plus ing. So this will be modifying the nearest verb, takes care. But how can a farmer take care to keep some things cool by providing them with food? How do you keep, as you have learned later on, cows cool by providing them with food? That's a little illogical. So I'm thinking along the lines that, okay, we're talking about a requirement for this farmer. For the farmer who takes care to keep them cool, feeding them, giving them high energy food, all right, and milking them regularly. So we're talking about three things about a farmer. This farmer keeps them cool. This farmer provides them with high energy feed. This farmer milks them regularly. Who is this then? Holstein cows. So the moment I see cows, I'm like, okay, them, correct. Holstein cows are producing present continuous or present perfect. Sorry, present continuous or present progressive. This happens parallel to the simple present. Okay. However, I thought to myself when I solved this question that it would have been better if I had Holstein cows produce, takes care, produces, or produce in this case, an average of so many gallons of milk each per year. So my intended meaning clearly here is that, we are talking about farmers who take care of Holstein cows and they are taking care to keep the cows cool, to keep the cows properly fed with high energy feed, and to keep the cows regularly milked. For such a farmer, okay, for such farmers, now look at the structure of your sentence. These cows will give an average of so many gallons of milk each per year. Since we're talking about simple present, my consequence of that simple present will be simple future or simple present itself. Now, here are a couple of things. Providing and milking them seem like verb ing modifiers, but then they are not really logically modifying the verb. All right, and the verb tenses are, as I pointed out, takes care, are producing, not really required, but I'm keeping an open mind there. So guys, till here, if you have understood, can you please let me know? Let me know if all is clear. Let me see if I can put up a poll here so that you guys don't have to type in the yes. Let me know if the explanation is clear. So let me just put up a poll for that in a moment. Yes, guys, I've put out a poll. Let me know if everything is clear about this question. So, Somnath, when I am going through the original sentence, I'm actually not thinking of simple future, honestly speaking. As I said earlier, that when I solved this question first, I thought to myself, why are producing? It would have been best to say that for the farmer who takes care to do all these things, Holstein cows produce. Okay. However, remember that when we're talking about cause and effect, even if there is a very little difference between cause and effect, it is still cause and effect. So cause is, if the cause is at present, the effect can be in the future. All right, there is nothing wrong in saying that. I agree totally with you, Somnath. However, if you remember, the options, none of the options had the correct produce. Okay. So, Shauradip, I hope the resolution is resolved for you. The others, I think, are able to see the screen well. If you can adjust the resolution of your screen, it would be so much good. So guys, those of you who haven't understood, please let me know what is it that is confusing you. I'll explain. I have got some of you saying you haven't understood the explanation. So let me repost my question. Is the explanation clear to all of you now, guys? I'm going to discuss individual options, but is this question clear to all of you? Okay, wonderful. Thanks, guys. So let me now move to the answer choice elimination. So as I said, this, them, okay, and this, them is redundant, as I've already explained. Why it's redundant? You've already said to keep them cool. So now if I say to keep them, providing them, to keep them, milking them, that would become incorrect. I have my ideas about this, but not that I'm saying it's wrong. However, the them itself is enough to move it off. B has providing them and milked, all right? So the them rules out B as well. Also, Holstein cow rules this out because I need an antecedent for this them, all right? So providing them, the them is redundant and Holstein cow isn't the right antecedent for the them. So B is out anyways for me quickly. If I look at C, provided with, so now I'm going to read for the farmer who takes care to keep them cool, to keep them provided with high energy feed. This is fine for me. But then there is again this them here, which is wrong. So C is also out for me. Mind it, C is not out because ED and ING are there. ED and ING can be parallel. Okay, please remember this. It can be they can be parallel. All right, if they are modifying the same noun. However, here they are not parallel. All right. So C is gone. When we come to D, as already pointed out earlier by one of you, I think it was Karthik, Holstein cow is the wrong antecedent for this them. It's out. Here the problem with provided them with is resolved. So provided, so for the farmer who takes care to keep them cool, who takes care to keep them provided with energy. So this is the ED verbal, who keeps them milked regularly, ED verbal. This is fine. But because of Holstein cows, this is out. So the correct answer is E. Now, as you guys were asking, will can come here, although produce would have been a good verb, but then this is not wrong because we're talking about takes care at present. So the effect will be in the future. And provided with food, milk regularly goes well with takes care to keep them sound. So E is correct. 30% of you did get this right. The takeaway here is all the entities in a list must be grammatically parallel, all right? So here we had a list of modifiers, all right, for who takes care to keep them cool, to keep them this, to keep them this, all right? So the structure should be parallel, all should be either phrases, all should be either clauses, and they should serve the same function. Either all of them should be verbs, all of them should be nouns, or all of them should be modifiers. This is the basic rule of parallelism, all right? So guys, let me know if this is clear to all of you so that we can move to the next question. Shoradeep, guys, are you all the others? So Samagra here, it was not verb ing, it was more of a list, okay, provided with ed verbal. It's not comma plus verb ing, all right? Divash, no, adverbs cannot be parallel with modifiers, okay? If a modifier is modifying a noun, then the parallel modifier should also modify the same noun. You can't have an adverb modifying a noun. So I hope I've answered all your questions. So let me know, guys, with a yes or no, if I should move to the next question. Just answer me on this only, Paul. Shall I move to the next question? Yeah, Shomnath. It happens, but you learn from your mistakes, so don't worry. So A, Shoradip, mainly is wrong for the them usage, all right, which is redundant. But if you use providing, then you'll have to use them. So that providing them, the whole thing becomes wrong. All right, Shoradip, providing them To keep them providing them, this whole thing is wrong. To keep them milking them, this whole thing is wrong. So to keep them provided with, to keep them milked, this is the right construction. So guys, I've got 6. Some of you are saying to move ahead and some of you are saying not to move to the next question. Do let me know, guys. Let me add a new poll. Okay. The question that I'm asking is, shall we move to the next question of the evening? Please let me know in the upcoming poll. Are you ready for the next question? Great, guys. Okay, so here comes the next question for you. Here it is. Long sentence. So remember the 3 things I've asked you to keep in mind. Keep looking at the structure, guys. Okay. At the same time, look at the role played by different entities and simultaneously keep track of meaning. In fact, let me just point out to all of you, if you look at the head of the chat box, I've actually kind of pasted the free trial version of the course. All right, I'm in fact going to post it on the chat as well. For those of you who are new to GMATVERBAL and you would like to take a closer look at our course and methodology, I've given you the link to the free trial version of the course. All right. I will also bring up very soon the link to set up a free call with our experts. In the meantime, let me kind of mute myself. Okay. I have given you quite a bit of time. Okay, so Sharadeep, all right, we'll see. I'm going to count 5, guys, and end the polls, all right? So this is one of those classic questions which, tells you that it's very important to get the meaning of the sentence correct. Because usually what we do is we just look at, okay, what is placed where, and let me just look at these quick tips and tricks and try to rule out options. It doesn't help that way. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me end the polls. Okay. Hold on a second. Yeah. All right. So once again, you can see how everybody's fared on this. We've got 26% saying A is correct, 8% saying B is correct, 21%. So very close. C, 17%, D, 26%. So that again, you can see there's no clear winner here. Although I would say it's a very simple question at the end of the day. It just depends on how you are reading the sentence, You'll understand in a minute what I mean. Now, here's the thing. When you read a sentence, train your eyes to highlight the structure of a sentence. Now, what does the structure of a sentence contain? When we look at a structure, we're talking about dependent clauses, independent clauses, right? We're talking about subject verb pairs, we're talking about modifiers. So when you're looking at a sentence, you need to understand the skeleton of a sentence, guys. I'm going to show you how. Once again, you have to break and read. That goes without saying. All right. If you are just reading the entire sentence in one flow, you're not going to get this skeleton. So mind it. Whereas, now the moment you read whereas as a structural expectation, you should expect something like this, So whereas X, Y. This X would be a clause. Okay, this Y would also be a proper clause. So this would become your dependent clause. This would be your independent clause. This is what you should expect the moment you see whereas at the beginning of a sentence, and which is not underlined. All right? Okay. So let me start off. Whereas, and in my mind I'm saying, okay, so some kind of contrast is going to come up. Let me see what it is. Now see, I have highlighted the skeleton of the sentence with the red color, with the red portion. So the skeleton is, whereas the use of synthetic fertilizers, so use has expanded. All right. So that's the skeleton. And the rest of the things are fillers. Whereas the use of something has expanded productivity. So I'm saying whereas the use of something has had an advantage, now I'm expecting the next portion, upcoming portion will be talking about the disadvantage of. So the upcoming portion will talk about the disadvantage of the use of synthetic fertilizers. This is what I'm going to expect for the sentence to be logically correct. And once you have this ability to read into the skeleton, you will find life becomes so much easy. So here we are saying, whereas the use of these artificial fertilizers has done some good, okay? So whereas X, Y, as I've already pointed out to you, here your X is basically, all right, if your X is noun pronoun plus, your Y should also be the same. So let's see. An increase in their use. All right. So whereas the use has done something good, an increase in their use. All right. So we are talking about not just use, we are talking about further use. So this is fine. Can create serious problems. So you see my skeleton is, whereas the use, I'm going to underline it again, the skeleton, if you see, I'm reading, whereas the use has done something good, an increase in the use can create problems. And then we have examples of problems such as water pollution and, okay, so this is just an example. And now the moment I read an and, I know that I should have another parallel clause to this, all right? And their substitution. Now, what is this they're going to refer to? It's going to refer to synthetic fertilizers. So this there is synthetic fertilizers. So I'm talking about their substitution. So the synthetic fertilizer substitution for more traditional fertilizers. So you are using synthetic fertilizers instead of traditional fertilizers. Their substitution may accelerate some other problems. All right. So I definitely have what I need. Once again, I'm going to point out the skeleton of the sentence. As I said earlier, classic case of how structures can work wonders. So we are saying, whereas the use has done something good, an increase in the use can create problems, all right? And their substitution may make things worse. So that's the intended meaning. The use has increased productivity, but two things can go wrong. If the use of synthetic fertilizers is increased, they can create serious problems. And if the synthetic fertilizers are completely substituted, if they completely substitute traditional fertilizers, the soil structure can deteriorate further. So A has no issues, but only 26% of you marked A. A has no issues. So let me see, I have some questions here. Karthik, I'm going to just go to option B in a moment. Just let me know, guys, that if the explanation of the original sentence is clear to all of you. Is the explanation of this sentence clear? For those of you who are not very clear about this, please ask your questions. I'll be glad to clear your doubts. Please let me know what your doubts are. I'll wait for you to post your question in the chat box. There's a time lapse. Sharadip, you're welcome. Thank you. Yes, guys, for those of you who have some doubts about this explanation, please ask your questions. It's easier to explain now than if I move down further into the options. I have someone here who says he or she has not understood, so please let me know. Himanshu, problems such as water pollution is correct. Yes, there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to give two examples. We are simply saying that increase in the use of synthetic fertilizers can create more problems. One of the problems is water pollution. So there's nothing wrong with that. GMAT regularly uses such as to cite examples. All right. Yes, guys, do let me know if things are clear to you so that I can move to the options. Okay. All right. I'm going to explain why the other options are incorrect. Okay. And again, I'm saying this is a very, very important tip, guys. In fact, I did not know this could help so much till I started practicing it, and the looking at the skeleton of the sentence. It gives you a very good idea of what should be where. So here A is correct, as I've already pointed out. Parallel, everything is fine here. Let's look at B. An increase in their use, till here we are cool, can create serious problems such as water pollution. And if, now this is the problem. If substituted. Now, first of all, the issue is whereas and if, they don't go together. You're saying whereas X has done something good, Y can do something bad. So the if clause does not figure into it. Second, if substituted, if what is substituted is not given here, right? What is substituted? So this if substituted seems to be pointing at if an increase is substituted, because this is the subject of this verb. So if no subject is here, then the subject will be common because there is an and there. So are we saying an increase is substituted for more traditional fertilizers? And what does this it stand for? So all in all, B has got multiple problems. All right. Who was asking me a question about B? Let me just quickly look at it. Karthik, option B is not even partially correct. All right. It's not even partially correct. It's kind of totally incorrect because you can see that parallelism is broken off, the structure is destroyed. It's kind of illogically saying if the increase can be substituted for no antecedent for it. So all in all, it's wrong. Yes, Ansh, thank you. Like is used to compare nouns, all right, and such as is used for examples. So yeah, great. I think that's clear about B. Let's look at C. 21% of you mark this same problem. If you're saying whereas the use has expanded, then here this if clause is totally out of place. Okay, the if clause is totally out of place. Again, if used as substitutions, what are used as substitutions? Okay, so these fertilizers, all right. They means the traditional fertilizers or substitutions. I mean, there are multiple problems actually. So C is also out here. All right. 21% of you mark this. Again, I'm saying merely knowing the structure would have solved your problems. Increased usage is not the same as increase in the use, although I'm going to, for the time being, let it pass. But again, while if, whereas, so look at this structure here. I'm saying whereas the use has expanded, done something good, the increased usage can create problems. While if, so whereas and while if out. 17% of you mark this, all right. Okay, so you are using two kind of contrasts for the same issue, pointless. E, 26% of you mark this. This is not to be used to give out examples, but look at this problem, bigger problem. Their substitution, whose substitution? So we are saying their substitution for more traditional fertilizers, all right, but then the increased usage of this. So their substitution is talking about the fertilizers and their substitution for more traditional fertilizers. But the biggest problem here is while and like, and therefore E is also out. 26% of you marked E, 26% of you marked A. Takeaway. A list marker must logically connect the entity. So when you're talking about list marker, whereas X and Y should be parallel and both should be clauses I've already pointed out to you. So always check whether the correct marker has been used or not, all right? That's the next lesson, the takeaway in terms of parallelism. When you say increased usage and increase in the use of synthetic fertilizers, increased usage means we are saying more and more we are using synthetic fertilizers. I don't think that's parallel to the use. So use and increased usage are not parallel to each other. I would say in use and increase in the use would be parallel. In option E, use of their. Okay, let me check that, Chris. Give me a moment. So increase in the use of their, I mean, one second. There in option E. So let's really ask ourselves the there, logically, what can it refer to? I'll just point this out, Chris, to you. Here we are saying synthetic fertilizers, okay? And then we are talking about increased usage of these fertilizers. So here these fertilizers is referring to this, because till now we haven't mentioned any other fertilizers. And while there would also refer back to this. So I think there isn't really any problem here as such. Logically, it seems to fit the bill. All of them are referring to the synthetic fertilizers, so I don't think that's an issue. Here's the next question, guys. I'm going to mute myself and bring up the polls once again. Shomnath, if you're using whereas to introduce the first dependent clause, the other should be an independent clause, while cannot introduce an independent clause, okay? Right, guys, I'm going to quickly count 5 and then end the polls. If you haven't put in your answers, please do that. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, I'm going to give you this. So in the last question, I tipped you off about looking for the skeleton of the sentence, right? And before that, in the first question, I told you to look out for structure, role, and meaning. Now, in this question, before I begin with this question, in fact, I would like you guys to keep in mind 5 kinds of changes when it comes to dealing with the options. So before I move to those changes, let's look at the poll results. None of you believe A is correct, all right. But 21% of you believe B is the right answer. 34% of you believe C is the correct answer. 43% of you believe in uh, D, and none of you have voted for E. Okay, let's see if D is the king or not. So before I move to the answer choices or explanation or anything, as I said, I want to tell you to remember, keep looking out for 5 changes in the options. Okay, in the options. What are those 5 changes? Change in the structure, okay, of the option when you're comparing to the original sentence. Look out for any additions in the choices. So something that was not there in the original sentence but was added to one of the choices. All right, so you ask yourself, why is this added? Does it make any difference? Does it bring out the correct meaning? Does it distort the meaning? The third thing is, notice if anything is subtracted or taken away from the original sentence. So something that was there but was removed later in one of the options. The fourth thing is any replacement that you see. So a word replaced by another word in the option. And finally, displacement. Now, this is very common. A portion of the sentence, maybe a prepositional phrase or a modifier or something or the other, moved from one position in the sentence to another position. So these are the 5 changes that you must look out for when you are going through these sentences. All right. And if you do this, what you're doing, you're priming yourself to quickly shortlist your answer choices. For example, if I just look at this choice, this question, okay, one look at these options tell me, oh, the structure is almost the same thing. So all one has to do and the only thing one has to do. This is something I need to differentiate between. But this you can differentiate only if you have done the proper analysis of the original sentence. That doesn't change. Once you've done the analysis of the original sentence, you will be able to understand what is it that you need to look out for. Say, for example, in none of the sentences, you have this word then. So if you kind of stop for a moment and ask yourself, why is this then over there? Should it be there or not? What difference does it make? You'll have some pointers to go along with. So let me start my analysis, okay? Let me see if I've got any questions from you guys, because okay, so let me just go ahead with my. It is an oversimplified view of cattle raising. So here it doesn't seem to be a pronoun that is replacing a noun. Rather, it is what we at GMATVERBAL called a placeholder. Placeholder is when the pronoun it is merely acting as a pointer and doesn't really take the place of another antecedent. So here we are saying something is an oversimplified view of cattle raising. Oversimplified means looking at cattle raising as a, like, very, very simple process. So what is this oversimplified view? They're going to tell us that. To say that, okay, so what is the oversimplified view? It is to say that, so that is going to be followed by the clause, which is going to tell us about the oversimplified view. All one has to do is all the things that one person has to do with cattle is, so what is this? Leave them alone while they feed themselves. Okay, so if you have cattle, let them be while they feed themselves. Here themselves seems to refer to cattle, them also refers to cattle. Fine. Corral them. Now, there's a problem here. To be very honest, I did not think of this problem when I first solved this question. All right, when I first solved this question, I said, okay, this seems to be parallel. Leave them alone while they feed themselves. So they feed themselves, leave them alone while they feed themselves, and corral them at the same time. I didn't question this, but either you leave them alone or you corral them. Corral them means to gather them. So if you're leaving them alone, how can you corral them at the same time? But to be honest, I did not question myself about this when I was going through the options. Going through the original sentence. I said, okay, leave them alone, corral them. So this is a verb, seems to be parallel. And to drive them. So I could see right away that to drive is the TO2 verbal, it's not the verb, and therefore it is definitely not parallel. Okay. What was important was when the time is right. So basically, driving them to the market is a separate time, quarreling them is a separate time, and letting them feed themselves is a separate time. This I realized when I read this portion of the non-underlined part. Okay, so the intended meaning is we are talking about cattle raising. The author thinks it is an oversimplification of the idea of cattle raising if one thinks that cattle raising was just about following two things: leaving the cattle alone while the cattle feed themselves, after that quarreling them and driving them to the market when the time is right. All right. So this is what I thought primarily, but A could be ruled out because of to drive. So when I went to the other options, immediately my eyes kept looking out for the changes. So I saw that leave them alone to feed themselves. So, okay, to quarrel them, and I noticed to quarrel to this and then to drive. I was about to make this mistake when I realized, oh, the to is not underlined here. Sorry, it is underlined here. So which means here I'm just going to get and drive. Therefore, B is also not parallel. 21% of you marked B. Guys, be aware of the tricks that your eyes can play on you. All right. So B is out. C, all one has to do with cattle is leave them alone while they feed themselves. This is pretty much the same. And then, now when I noticed the then, as I've already told you, that time I started thinking, why is the then given them? And then I realized, if you are leaving them alone to feed themselves, at the same time, you can't gather them and drive them to the market, right? The two times have to be different. So I kept C on hold just for that. All right. C is, by the way, the correct answer. 34% of you marked C. Let's look at D. The only thing, guys, they are doing three things: leave them alone, quarrel them, drive them. So only thing would mean one thing, which is illogical. All right. Same problem with E. Only thing, they're not doing just one thing. All right. We are doing multiple things. Multiple things is leaving them alone to feed themselves, quarreling them after that, and then driving them to the market. So only thing would mean one thing. Look at the trick. All that one has to do. So now if you just look at the, let me just show you. So if you were going through this, if you have done this meaning-based approach, you would know that only thing is out. You don't even have to read the rest of the sentences. So you will save time by giving more time to the original sentence. Analyze the original sentence properly for the intended meaning and those 5 changes that I asked you to notice. So missing marker will create error in the meaning. All right, I've already showed you that look out for list markers. All right, but always remember to check for what is connected to what. So guys, let me know if all is clear to you so that we can move to the next question. Is the explanation clear, guys? If it is, then we can move to the next question. These are some simple techniques that you can use to make your life easier on GMAT SC, guys. Look at the skeleton of the sentence. Notice the structure, the role, the meaning. When going through the options, remember the 5 kind of changes that can appear. Question those changes. Guys, please post your queries if the explanation is not completely clear. Some of you have said it's not clear. In the meantime, let me quickly repost to all of you this link. Let me just... I've reposted the link to the free trial version of the course, guys, and the link to set up a free call with our strategy experts. If you're facing problems with your prep, you want to start your prep but don't know what to do, stuck with your score, want your ESR to be analyzed. So guys, I still haven't received any. Archit says, was the last question. So Archit, most of the questions that we're solving today are 700 level. Now, how much beyond 700 level it is, I really am not like, I haven't made note of that, but most of the questions are super hard. Yes. They look fairly easy. Again, I'm saying this particular question is literally like a very, very deceptive question. Looks very simple. Okay, just look at 2, 2, 2, 2 and just don't do that. Guys, is the explanation clear? Because some of you are saying it's not, and then I don't get any queries. So guys, let me know if the explanation is totally clear. If it is, then I'm going to move to the next question. Okay, explanation is not, I don't get it. Am I asking the wrong questions, guys? I'm going to reset the poll. The poll is asking you whether the explanation for the question that we've just discussed is clear. If the explanation is clear, mark a yes. If you have any questions to ask, please put a no and post your question in the chat. So let me know if the explanation is clear. And if it is not, please mark a no and post your question in the chat. I'm waiting for your question, but do make it fast, guys, because we have lots of other questions to solve. If you delay asking your question, we'll just be holding up the session. So there is a 9%, 8% of you who want to ask something. Please go ahead. I still don't have any query. Guys, which part is not clear to you? Please let me know. Otherwise, I will not be able to help you. Samagra, two ands. So I use an and to join different parts. Somewhere I could be using an and to join two smaller entities within a larger entity. All right. So you look for which and is joining what entities. Just seeing that there are two ands, you rule out something. That's a very superficial way of solving something. So when you look at see two ands or three ands or any number of ands, look at what they're adding. Maybe one and is adding two clauses and one and is adding two small modifiers in the same clause. So you need to first check what is adding what. Nested list is basically a small list within a larger list of entities. All right, guys, I hope that clears up the air. So here comes the next question. All right, guys. So I'm going to start my countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Let's see. So we've got 11% of you rooting for A, none of you for B, 23% for C, 23% for D, 41% for E. Classic trap. So guys, we have this thought process that every time that there is a verb in a comparison sentence, it must be replaced. Be careful about that. You only include a verb if, without including the verb, the sentence starts giving you multiple interpretations. Sometimes, if the helping verb is there, you don't need to include the main verb, or you don't need to replace the main verb. So that's the issue I'm going to tackle in this question. We'll see how to tackle that. Okay, let me start with my explanation of this. So I'll again keep sharing with you how I resolve these issues. But remember the 3 pointers I gave you. Skeleton of the sentence, when you're reading the original sentence. When you're reading the original sentence, look at the structure, role, and meaning of the original sentence. When you're going through the options, look at those 5 things. What are those 5 things? Changes in the structure of the options, addition, subtraction, replacement, displacement. All right, here we go. In its most recent approach, from this prepositional phrase, I can infer that most recent approach means there must have been multiple approaches. We are talking about the most recent approach of something. What does this it's refer to? Probably it's talking about this comet Crommelin. So C passed, so comet Crommelin, I'm going to use kind of short form for this. C passed the Earth at about the same distance. Now, the moment I read the word same, I don't know, somehow bells start ringing in my mind that, okay, it should be same as. Whenever we want to use the word same, we always say, no, this is same as this. Otherwise, why use the word same? So the bells start kind of ringing. That's what I mean. And I was thinking along the same lines when I solved this question first. So C passed the Earth at about the same distance and in about the same position. You notice this thing is just introduced here to jam up your sentence, to create a bottleneck. But basically you're saying C passed the Earth at the same distance and same position as what? Right? Some 25 degrees above the horizon is non-essential modifier between 2 commas. So I'm going to kind of ignore it. That's just telling me the position. That I don't have my as. So C passed the Earth at the same distance that. No, as at the same distance as. So immediately, without even looking at the options, I know this should be as. C passed the Earth at the same distance as Halley's comet will pass the next time it appears. This it appears clearly refers to H. So basic skeleton of the sentence is Crommelin passed the Earth at the same distance as Halley's comet will pass. Halley's comet will also pass at the same distance. That's the intended meaning. Okay. But the way it's written, it means it is the distance that the comet will pass. The distance will not be passed. It will pass at the same distance. So the comet Crommelin recently approached the Earth. In that approach, it passed the Earth at a certain distance and at a certain position. This position was about some degrees above the horizon. And this distance and position is the same as the distance and position at which Halley's comet will pass the next time it appears. I'm sure a lot of you were able to rule out that. Okay. But I still have 11% of you who marked A. Guys, you're comparing. We don't make comparisons with that. Okay. That is being used here sort of to modify position. See, look at it. So this is going to go. It seems as if we are saying same position that. So we are defining that position. No, we are comparing the positions. Therefore, A is wrong. None of you marked D, but I think that was more because of this was like awkward and weird. Here we are comparing the position to the comet, which is also wrong, but 23% of you marked this. Guys, we want to say C passed, okay, Earth at the same distance as, if I just write Halley's comet, then it means Halley's comet is a distance and we are comparing one distance to another. That's not the point. We are comparing the passing point of C to the passing point of H. Therefore, C is wrong. Okay, so always expand the entire sentence in your mind's eye. As will Halley's comet. Now, whenever you're using helping verb, you don't need to repeat or replace the main verb. What do I mean by that? See, look at this will pass. Will pass, this is the helping verb and this is the main verb. So this is just, I'm pointing out for the usage in comparison questions. If you want to replicate this verb, just mentioning the helping verb is enough. You don't have to mention the main verb. A lot of you must have been confused because of this, all right? And therefore you did not mark this, but D is the correct answer, all right? D is the correct answer. The will is indicative of past. You don't have to write the past, you don't have to replace the past. Now comes why is E wrong? Guys, Halley's comet will do. First of all, if I asked you, will you please pass me the salt? Guys, can you answer this in the chat box? How will you answer this? If let's say Sunita is asking you, please, will you pass me the salt? What will be your answer? What will be your answer? Yes, Chetsi, absolutely. You will just say, yes, I will. You will never say, yes, I will do. So, do is not the right replacement for pass here at all. Yes, Samagra, you will say, yes, I will. Shauradip, yes, I will. Nobody will say, yes, I will do. So, the do, number one, is not required. Second, it's not the correct replacement of pass. All right. Therefore, E is incorrect. So guys, let me know if the explanation is clear. Is the explanation clear why E is incorrect? Is the explanation clear? Wonderful. So again, typical errors that happen to us in the comparison question, that omission is allowed. You're allowed to omit something in comparison, what you call ellipsis, as long as no ambiguity is present. So in this case, if we do not write the word pass or if we do not replace the pass, there is no ambiguity and therefore you do not need to do it. All right. So omission is allowed for terms that have already been mentioned. Sometimes it is actually necessary to avoid redundancy. Also, if a comparison is being made, the correct marker should be used. If you're comparing same as, you can't say same that. Small things to note, okay? All right, guys, here's another question. This is a wonderful question, actually. It's a tough one, guys. Where it is applicable, will do. Sure, the will do we use in regular term that will you please take care of the child? Will do. So I will do this for you. But in formal terms, we don't write will do. So Anuj, same as, here we are not using as a separate marker in such, we are saying same as. All right. X is the same as Y. Yes, Shomnath, after as, we should follow it up with a clause. Right. But there are different usages of as well. When you say same as, then you're not just writing as, you're writing same as. After same as, you may have a clause, you may have a noun as well. All right, Shomnath. The same as, so same as Halley's Comet will. Halley's Comet will is a clause in any case. Halley's Comet will is a clause. All right, let me mute myself. Okay, guys, so I'm going to start my countdown. Please put in your answers if you haven't done that. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Karthik has posted a question here. Marie cares for the child more than Jack will do. So the do is not necessary. All right, here the do is not necessary. Because even if I don't write do, the will is indicative of will care. All right, Karthik. So the correct sentence should be Marie cares for the child more than Jack will. All right, not do. Please understand, if you are using a helping verb, never repeat the main verb. Okay. All right. So let me end the polls. Let's see what you guys have marked. 5% of you believe A is correct. All right. 35% of you believe in B. 25% of you believe in C. Another 35 believe in D. So, guys, one quick question here. Which, okay, is, what is the function of which in C and D? Can you answer this query quickly? What is the function of which in C and D? Yes, Karthik, even in the case of tense change, verb repetition is not necessary. Absolutely not. We have seen this example that we did just now. All right. So the main verb was past. We had to use will pass, and that's totally okay. So yes, guys, what is the usage of, or what is the role of which in options C and D? Can you tell me that? Good. Everybody is saying that which in C and D is referring to magnetic resonance. Is magnetic resonance singular or plural? Magnetic resonance is singular or plural, guys? Magnetic resonance is singular or plural? magnetic resonance is singular or plural, guys? Yes, so Chetsi, Shoradeb, Somnath, Samagra, Anuj, everybody is of the same opinion that which is referring to magnetic resonance. Great. And all of you also agree that magnetic resonance is singular. Then, is produce correct? Which produce is a relative pronoun clause and it is going to modify the nearest noun. The nearest available noun is magnetic resonance. So magnetic resonance which produce, is that correct? So we are saying magnetic resonance which produce. Magnetic resonance is singular, produce is plural. C and D can be ruled out just on the basis of this. And 25% of you have marked C, 35% of you have marked D. Now, this is a classic case of silly mistake. Why have you made this mistake? Because you have not looked at the structure. So, the structure would have told you it's a relative pronoun clause. You have not looked at the role of which. It would have told you that magnetic resonance is singular and the verb should have been singular. How many? So many of you all marked this. Can you see how simple it would have been to kind of rule out these two options? 25 and 35. That's 60% of you have got this question wrong. And that's like really something worrying because it's a very simple error. Okay, let me go into the answer choice analysis. See, point of this question is the sentence is trying to tell you even in this age of conservation. So even in the age of conservation, something is happening which should not happen. All right. So meaning is very important. And then we are saying cooking ranges that consume fossil fuel are far more common than those that rely on magnetic resonance. So this those is referring to cooking ranges. So we have cooking ranges that consume fossil fuel and cooking ranges that rely on magnetic resonance. So we've got two types of cooking ranges. And we are saying even in this age of conserving energy, we are looking at those cooking ranges being more common, which are using fossil fuel. All right. So after that, we have producing heat more efficiently than natural gas. So this is a comma plus ing. Comma plus ing will modify the nearest verb. This is the nearest verb. This is the subject for that verb. So basically, we are saying, meaning wise, the those refers to cooking ranges. Okay, so cooking ranges, okay, that depend on magnetic resonance, comma, producing heat more efficiently. So far, so good. Basically, we are saying that how, we are saying that the cooking ranges depend on magnetic resonance, and the outcome of this dependency is these cooking ranges produce heat more efficiently. Fine. But the problem starts after that. Than natural gas. Now, are we saying than producing natural gas? Because this is not there. But this would be meaningless, right? How can cooking ranges using magnetic resonance produce natural gas? So what is the intended meaning here? Probably we want to say that in this age of conservation, when you should actually find that cooking ranges using fossil fuels are not more common, you find the reverse. You find that cooking ranges that consume fossil fuel, they are far more common than the magnetic resonance cooking ranges. And then we are talking about how these magnetic resonance cooking ranges work. How do they work? They produce heat more efficiently than the cooking ranges using natural gas produce. All right. So because of that dual meaning, this sentence is incorrect. You actually need the verb here. If I don't put the verb here, there could be multiple meanings here. So let's see. We are saying that fossil fuel cooking ranges are far more common than magnetic cooking ranges, and magnetic ranges are more efficient at producing heat than our fossil fuel ranges. Example of fossil fuel range is natural gas. Comparison 1 is fine between cooking ranges that use fossil fuel and cooking ranges that use magnetic resonance. Comparison 2 is between the heating efficiency of magnetic resonance and heating efficiency of natural gas. All right. So this is incorrect. It should have been than natural gas produces, or instead of produces, does. So guys, let me know if the explanation is clear to all of you. Ayush, which cannot jump over a verb? No, Chris, the ing does not refer to the entire clause. The ing refers to the nearest verb. All right, Chris? The ing, comma plus ing, always. So, the comma plus ing all after a clause, the comma plus ing at the end of a clause always modifies the nearest verb. All right, Chris? And Ayush, the which cannot jump over the verb. So here what we are trying to say, guys, pay attention to comparison 2. The second comparison is between the heating efficiency of fossil fuel cooking ranges and heating efficiency of magnetic cooking ranges, magnetic resonance cooking ranges. All right. So I'm going to put up a poll. Let me know if all of you have understood this. Is the explanation clear, guys? Let me know. A lot of you did get this question correct, but a lot of more of you could have got this correct if you not made the silly mistake of the which. So let's move on to this. A is incorrect because it's giving us two different meanings. B is correct. The does here implies produces. Okay. So producing heat more efficiently. So we have magnetic cooking ranges producing heat more efficiently than natural gas cooking ranges or range does. All right. Okay. C, I've already pointed out to you. First of all, I don't have the verb here. Second, the which is referring to magnetic resonance, and therefore this is singular, this is plural, does not make for subject verb agreement. The does is there, but this which is still incorrectly referring to magnetic resonance. D is out. Nobody has marked E as the correct answer. It is not the answer, definitely. And it is not the answer for the simple reason that much more efficient at producing heat than natural gas means than producing natural gas. So it seems magnetic resonance is much more efficient at producing heat than producing natural gas. Natural gas is not produced by magnetic resonance. So E is also out. Takeaway. Omission is not allowed. So before this, we did a question where omission is allowed if there is no ambiguity. But if your omission is going to cause ambiguity, you have to replace the verb. All right. A noun or a verb may need to be repeated and you have to use an appropriate verb. So guys, I'm just going to bring up the last question of the evening. No, Karthik. Fossil fuel ranges are more common is not the nearest verb. Okay. The nearest verb is rely. That is why I use the term nearest verb, and that is why, Chris, I hope it is clear to you why ing doesn't modify the entire clause. Okay, it modifies the nearest verb and it needs to make sense with the doer of that verb. So, guys, are you ready for the last question of the session? Are you ready? Are you ready for the last question? So, Shashank, which cannot use the word produce. You have to say produces. Even if We do not know that which is referring to magnetic resonance. It should have been produces. I think SK, all right, SK is asking this question. What if we had an option which produces? It would have been correct. It would have been correct because we are talking about magnetic resonance versus natural gas. All right. Okay, great, guys. So let me move to the last question, and I hope you're having fun. Here's the question. This is to discuss the usage of like or unlike. So get set, guys. I'm just going to bring up the polls. Before I answer this question, Karthik has asked a question. So, Karthik, I think this is a misconception that comma plus ing is always cause and effect. Okay, comma plus ing could give you some other information about the verb. For example, it could tell you how the verb is done. If I say Jane cleaned the house using soap and water, using soap and water is telling you how she cleaned the house. Okay. Or if I tell you the judge passed the new law, okay, putting into place a certain chain of actions, there is a cause and effect there. All right. But it is not always cause and effect. It could also be the manner of doing the verb. All right. So when we say cooking ranges rely on magnetic resonance, comma, producing heat more efficiently, we are basically saying that the outcome of using magnetic resonance is the production of efficient production of heat. All right, Karthik. So relying is not happening. Yes, that is not a cause and effect, but it's the manner, it's the outcome. So the comma plus ing can also indicate the consequences of the verb. All right, please keep that in mind. Let me know if that is clear to you, Karthik. All right. Karthik, do let me know if that is all right. Okay, great. So let me end the polls, guys. I'm going to quickly count 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Let me end the polls here. Now, in this case, guys, I'm asking all of you a very simple question, okay? Just listen to that carefully. If I say that unlike most wobbler species, that portion is correct. All right. So what am I supposed to be comparing here? What am I supposed to be comparing if the first 4 words of the sentence are correct? You can answer me in the chat if you want. I'll give you a couple of seconds here. A few, more than a couple of seconds, of course. Yes, I'm waiting for some more answers. I've got Karthik and Ayush so far. Marilia has also given some answer. Shashank. Okay. So guys, I think be very clear that unlike or like are used to draw comparisons between two nouns. However, the two nouns must be similar, comparable, logically comparable. So most of you have said that most wobbler species should be compared with other species of wobblers, right? So Samagra says few other species, Somnath says other species, Shashank says other species, Anuj says blue-winged wobblers in this case, which is another species of wobblers. Marilia says species. Ayush says gender. You can't compare species with gender. Anuj, okay, sorry, Ayush. You can compare species with species. You can compare gender with gender. You can compare gender of species with gender of species, and so on and so forth. The comparison can always be made only between logically comparable entities. Okay, so that's the learning here. And if I just look at an overview here, I mean, if I was solving this in the exam, I would say, okay, unlike is there, so I'm comparing wobbler species, all right, with male and female blue-winged wobbler. Male and female blue-winged wobbler, then I should have had unlike the male and female of most wobbler species. I don't have that. And the meaning is it's very difficult to tell the difference between male and female in the blue-winged wobbler, but in the other wobbler species, probably it's easier to tell the difference. So now if I'm doing this in the exam, I'll just look at this. I'll say wobbler species, male and female out. I'll say wobbler species, gender out. Those, now I'm going to discuss this. I'll put this on hold. Most wobbler species, now if you're starting a prepositional phrase after an unlike, it's right away wrong. And again, E is on hold for me because here I'm talking about blue-winged wobblers and most species of wobbler. So the comparison is really between C and E. Now, let me quickly look at what options you guys have marked. 33% of you have marked A as the correct answer. I don't know why. 28% of you B. I don't know why. Just 23% of you have marked C and only 14% have marked E. So very clearly you are not aware of the correct usage of unlike and like. You should be comparing the similar entities, guys. Comparable entities. Shashank, you're comparing most species with male and female of one species. If I write it out, okay, so let me go to this. Look at this, Shashank. You're comparing most species to male and female blue-winged wobbler. Okay, and that's the error. Sorry guys, excuse me. So do let me know. So Anuj, I'm going to explain C separately. Shashank, is this clear? No, Ayush, we cannot compare gender of species. So guys, there is no word called species. Singular is species, plural is also species. Shashank, yes, it should be species, most species with some particular species or some species. All right. So Ayush and Shashank and are things clear to you? Ayush and Shashank, Anuj, I'll answer your question in a moment. Shashank and Ayush, please let me know if things are clear to you. If you are comparing species, you can. Male and female is not a species, Shoradip. Okay? So, male and female, you cannot compare the male and female of one species to the entire species. You can compare male and female of one species to the male and female of other species. Okay? All right. Shoradip, I hope that answers the question. So, yeah. So, I could have said, look at this, guys. Huh? I can say, unlike the male and female of most species, comma, the male and female of blue-winged warbler. This would have been correct because male and female of most species, male and female of blue-winged warbler. Or you say, unlike most species, all right, of warblers or warbler species, whichever way, I'm going to use the, unlike most, warbler species, then I would say the blue-winged warbler species or something like this. The comparison should be logical. Is this clear, guys, to all of you? It is subtle, Shauradip, but this is what GMAT tests. Okay? So, the comparison is incorrect, and I've already pointed out why. Let me quickly explain. So it seems we are talking about the fact that there is a comparison being drawn between two types of warblers or species of warblers. We are comparing majority of the warbler species on one hand, one category, and the blue-winged warbler species on the other hand. In majority of the warbler species, one can tell the difference between male and female warbler, but it is difficult to tell this difference in the blue-winged warbler species. That's the idea. So A is incorrect, as I've already pointed out. B is incorrect. You're comparing most species to the gender. C is incorrect. Why? Okay, now those here will be referring to this whole thing. So when I say those, I'm saying the male plus female blue-winged warblers in most warbler species. The those will refer to the entire thing. Warblers is the noun and these are all adjectives. So you don't just refer to the noun, you refer to the entire thing. And therefore C is incorrect. You are saying male and female blue-winged warblers in most warbler species. Shashank, is your doubt cleared? Shashank, is your doubt cleared? Sorry, it was, I think, Anuj. My bad. Anuj, is your doubt clear? Please let me know if the doubt is clear. Anuj. Let me know, Anuj. Okay, let me. All right, thank you. So that's clear. Let me see if I have any other queries. Okay, great, guys. So now that we know this, I already pointed out in D, it's like we are using a prepositional phrase with unlike, incorrect. Is the correct answer, where we are comparing blue-winged warblers. It is one species with most species of warbler. All right. So that's that. The takeaway here is the usage of unlike is used. So unlike is used for comparing the difference between two nouns or two pronouns. Ensure that the noun that you're using with the unlike is logically comparable, parallel to the noun. All right. So guys, that's the last question of the evening. If you have any other queries related to your prep, please go ahead and ask, guys. In the meantime, let me just quickly bring up 1 second. So let me see if I have got the right. Yep, there is some more information where you can write to us and connect with us. So Shomnath, I would say go through them once you finish that particular segment. All right, because the webinars take care of whatever gaps there might be in your understanding or learning after watching the videos. Shed C wants to know why C is incorrect. Okay. Let me just quickly explain C once again to Shed C. So Shed C, the those here. See, let me explain. If I say the German cars, sorry, let me explain with the help of an example. The German cars are very sophisticated. Okay, suppose this is your sentence. The German cars are very sophisticated, and one would need specialized knowledge to handle those. Okay, now if I say this those, does it refer only to cars or to German cars? It refers to German cars. So this those refers to this entire thing, which means my sentence would read male and female blue-winged warbler in warbler species. So I'm saying male and female blue-winged warbler in warbler species, which is senseless. All right. So I hope that is clear. Samagra, the point is, with every question that you solve, you need to make a thorough analysis to understand what is it that you're doing wrong, what is it that you're doing right. So with every question, every progressive question, you have to keep improving. Shomnath, I think I do have a live webinar coming up on involved reading, where I'm going to specifically talk about the scope and main point of the passage. So it's going to be on reading and comprehension on the 25th of Feb. All right. Yes, Anuj, you're correct. Anuj, you're correct. Yes. The those here is not a demonstrative pronoun, Karthik. Those is used as a demonstrative pronoun when you attach it with a noun. Suppose I say those wobblers, then it's a demonstrative pronoun. But in C, the those is replacing something. All right. So guys, I hope this was informative. I'm just going to draw your attention once more to the link to the free trial version of the course and to the link where you can kind of reach out to our strategy experts and discuss your problems with them. I'm just going to quickly post in the link to the free trial version as well as a link to set up a free call with our strategy experts. And I think one of you had reached out. Let me just, yeah. So Anuj, another thing for you is Piyush will be reaching out to you. By Monday, he's not been well and he wasn't working. So he'll reach out to you. I hope, guys, everything's clear to you. If you have any other queries, please go ahead and ask. Otherwise, this is the, you can kind of connect with us over that email or you can WhatsApp us on that number. See you guys around soon. Please remember, guys, those tips that I give you. Skeleton of the question, sentence, skeleton of the original sentence, structure of the original sentence, role of the entities in the original sentence, and the meaning of the original sentence. And when you're going to the options, look at those 5 changes. That is structural change, any addition made to the options, any subtraction made from the original choice, original sentence, any replacement, any displacement. With all that, take care, guys. Happy learning. Remember, it's not how many questions you solve, but how you learn to solve them, because the method that you practice on your own is what you're going to do in the exam. If you're not practicing that method, you're not going to do it. So take care and have a productive learning time, guys. Good night if this is night for you, and good day to all of you who are just starting off your day. Take care, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.